thank you for coming tonight. Welcome, class of 2026, now that I have that correct in my mind. We are excited to have you. I'm sorry that we had to change the date and time because of weather, but we are happy you could make it tonight. I would like to take a minute. Some of you have not been introduced to our new middle school principal, and I'd just like to take a second. This is Mr. Bob Paris. He is our new middle school principal, and he is doing an awesome job, and we are glad to have him. Tonight, we have Mr. Huber. He is our 8th grade transition specialist. He also takes care of all our CTE courses and works mostly with 9th, 10th, and 11th grade students. Ms. Turner, she is our assistant principal, and she is the director of special education. She is a very busy lady. Mr. Huber is also in charge of 504 plans, so if you don't know what it is, that's fine, but if your child has a 504 or an IEP, then these are your people for sure. So your class, this class of 2026, I'm hoping gets to have a real normal high school life for 4 years. The last class that had had 1 full year of high school where they got to do everything and it was just like regular school was our senior class. So I'm excited for this group of students that we're gonna be ready next year, and things are gonna look a little brighter for our future. So it is gonna be kind of overwhelming tonight. There's lots of information. Some of you have been through this before, but we're gonna do our best to just give you the basics and then give you ways to get more information as we move forward, okay? So I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Huber.
All right, so so far I've been working with the 8th graders already. So some of this they've heard a little bit, which is good. And I met with them virtually during their history class a couple weeks ago when we were online, and then last week I went into their history classes, and so they've already started some of this process that you'll see here, which is good because they can now show you what they've done, and they can talk and consult with each other and what to do for next year and going forward, and kind of lay out a plan, as you say. So for high school, these are the requirements. Part of the Michigan Merit Curriculum is your English, science, social studies, math, foreign language, and PE and health requirements. Okay. We also here at Shepherd High School have a requirement to get 27.5 credits to graduate, which equals to 9.5 elective credits that they need. So this is the state of Michigan requirements and our district requirements to graduate. Some things to think about. We're not going to get into this too much tonight, but some future opportunities that they have going forward, starting in their sophomore year's potential dual enrollment. They may take 1 or 2 college classes, which are in the Laidley building, and so that is a possibility for students that are ready for that. Early college is, of course, the 5th year program. We just had a presentation on that, so if you missed it, we'll be putting it online, and so you can get caught up on that. You don't need to worry about that yet. That's some stuff down the line. And then the bottom one there, career technical education. And that is just juniors and seniors. There are 20 CTE programs, 3 of them in Alma, the rest of them in Mount Pleasant. Some great opportunities to get certified in different areas or earn articulated credit for college. And that is just for juniors and seniors. So, like I said, I've met with the 8th graders a couple times already, and we started their EDPs, their educational development plans. The onwardshepherd.weebly.com website is something that we'll refer to a lot. It's our counseling department website. There's a lot of things on there, Shepherd High School. So get to know that. Your students have already been there, and I'll show you a couple things with that in a little bit here. So we've already I met with them, I got them through the process, they picked their classes, they can still change it, however, and they can ask you, what your thoughts are on some things, and so again, we've already started this process. So to just go throughout high school, they'll have English classes, 2 of them each year. So there will be a trimester next year where they will not have an English class. But those are the requirements throughout high school to get 4 credits to graduate. Science is 3 credits, and they have physical science next year, and biology sophomore year, and chemistry junior year. Their senior year, they could potentially be taking a dual enrollment science class, and there's other science electives as well. And then this is the social studies plan, as they have to get 3 credits in social studies. Each class is a half a credit. And then the math requirements. Some students have algebra right now in 8th grade, so they could potentially, so next year they'll take geometry, which we try to get them to make sure they get that right in the course planner when they select it. Their sophomore year they do algebra 2, and then potentially they could take a dual enrollment like pre-calculus. Their junior year, calculus their senior year if they choose to. The format for high school. So it's a bit different, but I think a lot of students like having it. Just looking at 5 classes. Just had a new student start the other day, and it's like, oh wow, only 5 classes to think about. They came from a different district where they had 6 or 7, and it's a lot easier to manage when you think about that. 5 classes, and 12 weeks. And the difference is they're 74 minutes long compared to, a lot of schools may do it for 55 to 60 minutes, but students get used to that pretty quick. So over the course, we have 3 trimesters where they have 5 classes each trimester, potential to earn 2.5 credits per trimester because each class is a half credit. Again, and 27.5 credits needed to graduate throughout high school. They have potential to earn 30 credits, and some of them will get more than that because they've already maybe earned foreign language credit in middle school and potentially an algebra credit too. So the 2 typical paths for freshmen are your algebra or geometry. Really big difference is math in 9th grade. And so I gave your students, your sons or daughters, a half sheet of paper like this to hand out. I emailed it to them, so they have this. And so typically, most 8th graders are going to have the column on the left there with the algebra path. And they have 4 electives to choose. We talked about PE being, if you're in marching band, that counts as a PE credit, or if you're in a sport, you don't have to take PE. So some students may have 5 electives to choose. Want to go back one?
Yes.
And then, of course, there's the geometry pass for those that are in algebra this year, which they might have 5 electives to choose. And then the 2 columns on the right are the classes that are designed for freshmen to take. There are some electives that they may look at and find in our curriculum guide, but they may be for juniors and seniors, such as physiology or anatomy and stuff like that. They have to have other classes first. So this is their list of electives, which is pretty long list. It's going to find this list is as good as any big school around here and much longer than any smaller school around this area. So your students have already looked at this. They've already put in their choices, but again, they can show you how they did that and how they can still make changes on that as well.
We tell that some of those are new.
Yeah, we did add, in the PE department, they added some, in the bottom right there, intro to coaching and officiating and nutrition. So if we have enough students that sign up for those classes, register for those classes, we'll offer those sections. So yeah, we're, each year we go to the departments and they have opportunities to make some changes, add classes based on trends that we see, different demands. History versus Hollywood that you see in there ends up being a pretty popular class because they look at, everyone likes to watch movies for the most part, but they look at historical events, they learn about them, and then they compare it to a movie that Hollywood made and look for accuracy there. So that became a popular class. So we keep that class around, and some we get rid of that aren't as popular. And to find out more about the classes, we have on our Onward Shepherd website. We'll show you that again in a little bit here. You can read about the descriptions. And also in their Zello account, in their course planner, there's pretty much most of the classes have a description online as well that you can read about the class. So our website looks like this, onwardshepherd.weebly.com. And what we had your students do, so there's a lot of information on here, as you see the menu at the top and all the buttons on the bottom there, but we had them go to Zello. And so go ahead, Ms. G.
Sorry.
So once they log into Zello, now if they do this, if they're on their Chromebooks and they're logged into their account on their Chromebooks, it'll take them right through their Shepherd Blue Jays email address. They don't have to remember their username or password, and it'll take them right to this. It'll say their name there. And what we worked on is where the arrow's pointed to Course Planner. And that's where they select their classes. We'll do that every year. And right now we're working on, last week I was in a bunch of freshman classrooms picking their classes for the sophomore year. Friday I'll be in seeing with the sophomores picking their classes for the junior year. So we go into Course Planner every year and make sure that they have their 15 classes, their 7.5 credits selected. Okay? No, go back one more. Now right over here, under the About Me section, this is a pretty easy thing to use, and I would encourage every student to do this if they haven't yet. I tried to talk to them about it already, hopefully they did it. But doing like the matchmaker there, it takes less than 10 minutes. It asks some good questions about things that you like to do and things that you enjoy, and it matches you with careers. And then you can do a ton of research on the careers, find out where in Michigan, what colleges offer programs or certification. It's really a great tool. There's other things online there, but you'd be, not to take advantage of that would be a big waste. And then, because a lot of times I go into classrooms and I ask students, how many of you have absolutely no idea what you want to do for a career? And there's always a good handful of hands. And then there's some of them that have absolutely, they're sure what they want to do. And most are somewhere in the middle. Well, this can help that out, help them discover more and learn more, and then figure out things that they want to try. In worst case scenario, they figure out, well, maybe I don't want to do that. And that's just as valuable as anything else. So that's a great tool to use, and I would encourage that. So we go to Course Planner. When we go there, they select their classes for 9th grade, and we want to get the total right there to 7.5 credits. You can go ahead and look forward to 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and start planning ahead. We have some students that like to do that. Again, each year we'll go in and make changes. And they have about a month here to make changes to theirs. And then what we do is we pull that data, and that's how we make our master schedule. So their class choices are real important. That's how we build our schedule and offer the amount of sections. So it's important to get it done in the next month. And again, you want that total to be 7.5. Don't pay attention to the credits up here, and there will be another thing on the bottom. I told them don't ignore it, and do not do what?
Don't click submit.
No, hit submit. Thank you. Good job. So if you hit submit, we just tell them not to. It saves it as you exit out. If you hit submit, it might lock you out, and you can't go back and make changes, or it's going to tell you there's some things wrong with it. Ignore it. I wish we could get rid of that button, but it is what it is. So just don't hit it. So here is a sample of what a freshman schedule might look like. Okay. Your electives, we try to spread out, but this is a good example of what it might be. A student with algebra all year long.
Take notice of the lunchtime. They get a lot of questions about that.
Lunch is important. We have open campus for lunch, so students can leave or eat here. And then if a student, band student, for example, how many band students do we have here? Good. Number of your hands go up. So your class will be 4th hour, all right? And again, that might take up 3 elective spots. Band is an elective, all right? And you may only have one other class to choose this year. Okay, but again, you can take out, you don't have to take PE if you're in band, so that could be another elective. Okay? And if you're a geometry student, well, you might have 5 electives to choose, perhaps 6 if you're not doing PE. And then, looking ahead 2 years from now, your 10th grade year, there's even more elective opportunities. So you have one less section of math, most of you would, and you don't have to take health or PE, so you may have 7 elective opportunities, 8 core classes. That's where a student may take 1 or 2 dual enrollment classes too during their sophomore year. Now in high school, one big difference is grading. There's a lot put on tests and LTs, as you'll hear them called, which are smaller assessments. So 60 to 80%, depending on the class and teacher, is summative assessments or tests. So it's important to have good habits and learn how to prepare for those tests and work with the teachers. And if you're struggling with something, to seek help. We have a lot of people in the building and a lot of ways to get help. The Student Success Center that Ms. Searle runs, there's a lot of ways to get help, and the big key is asking before it gets to be too late. We try to find the students that need help, but some of them it's easy to go under the radar, and some of them are really good at that. So parents, if you see your students struggling, that first trimester can be tough. Reach out to us, and we will bang on the doors around the building and see what we can do to help. And we'll go out of our way for sure to try to help. A couple other just off topics. If you're thinking of playing a college sport, any hands up? Anyone thinking they want to do that? Couple, okay. So if you're thinking that NCAA rule Division I or Division II, you have to have a certain grade point average to be eligible, and SAT score, and they only look at core classes. So sometimes we may get a junior, senior that's, I'm thinking I might want to do this. Well, did you know that? We want to make sure you know that you're aware that grade point average, SAT score is important to be eligible for the NCAA. And also, I would say it's also important to understand how the grade point average works. I sometimes find our students don't understand that. I think most parents probably do. So ask your kids. If not, I'm sure you can find out. If you need to ask us, we'll help you out to understand how the grade point average works. I bet there's some 8th graders in here that really don't know. So, a couple things to think about for your freshman year. Good attendance is huge. We were just looking as a staff at students that are failing in 1 or more classes, and there's a huge correlation between attendance and the number of failures, which is not a surprise. But it is a surprise to those students for some reason. And for some reason, those parents don't understand it. But attendance is huge. That is the one key factor that you, hopefully, most of the time can have some control over. Obviously, illnesses happen sometimes, but a lot of times other things get in the way. So that's big. You're going to check PowerSchool Parents, or Schoology is one platform that we use for where our teachers use it to put assignments on, and the grading is there, but the grading is also in PowerSchool. So you can use both. You get a student access code or a parent access code, and it's pretty easy to log in and check their grades. Students, you want to check your email. We tell you over and over, and your parents have to do it for their jobs. We do it. I mean, you're checking your email constantly. If you don't do it yet, you need to start. So start having that habit. Set goals for that grade point average. That's something a lot of you, it's going to be real important for. You're going to take the PSAT in April, and that is and try out. And some students, we get this less and less, I think, but some students don't try hard on it sometimes, and that's not giving you good data. So try hard on it. Take it seriously. You're going to take the test anyway, and then you can see the growth over the years. And it's really cool to look at that and see where you started and where you end up. We look at that a lot, and it is important. Update your EDP, and that's in Zello, the course planner. We really encourage, and you'll hear this over and over, to be active and participate in extracurricular activities. There's a lot of things on the table over there. There's the Blue Jay guide. There's a copy right there. It has all our clubs, sports, activities. There's something for everyone if they choose to find it. A lot of opportunities. And then volunteer work. You want to keep track of that too. If you've already started that, I will keep track of this. There are ways that we'll show you how to log that, and there's a spot next to the Zello program that we'll begin to use to keep track of that. That's something that would be good for your senior portfolio. So start keep track of that and look for those opportunities. We do a community cleanup, so we offer some opportunities here, and then there's other opportunities to participate, like elementary PTO. They've got something coming up, looking for volunteers. So there's opportunities, but keep track of it. Keep those certificates that you get for it, and that can be some good stuff to have that senior year when you're working on that portfolio and stuff. All right, last couple things for me, and then we'll turn it back over. So again, log into Powell School and Schoology. You'll get more information on that later. Encourage good study habits at home. Okay, if you happen to be virtual at all next year, the biggest mistake you can make is just let your kid go in your room and close the door and assume that they're doing the work, because they got a secret for you. They're not. All right, there's too many distractions in most kids' bedrooms, and that is just not a good place that's conducive to work, and it's just too easy to be distracted. They may be telling you that they're doing it, but we know how teenagers can be sometimes. And we had some students that when we went virtual here a couple weeks ago, they fell off and they just didn't do a thing. That's the honest truth, they didn't do a thing. And it's just too easy for them to avoid it. So try to find a spot in the house for them to study. And if we have to be virtual at any point in the future, hopefully we're done with that. But if we are, there's got to be a good spot to work where there's no distractions. They can't have their phone. No, they don't need to listen to music. No, the TV shouldn't be on. And all that stuff, you got to get rid of it. The only thing they need is a Chromebook, and that's it. And that's the best way to do it. Teachers are real good about communicating with parents. Email is a convenient way, so I encourage you to do that if you have questions. Email any one of us if you have questions about other stuff or if they need help. Again, encourage extracurricular involvement, sports, drama, all those clubs that we talked about. Again, have conversations about post-secondary plans. It's hard as a parent myself to talk with a junior or a senior, and they really have no idea what they want to do in a year or two. As parents, have those conversations. Talk to them about things. Have them talk with people that are already, in the workforce doing these things. Those little conversations can go a long way in getting them thinking on the future. And the last thing is encourage a growth mindset. The opposite of growth mindset is a fixed mindset. So I might hear from a student, I'm not good at math. Well, that doesn't mean you can't get better at math. If you believe that you're not very good at math and your parents are telling you, well, I wasn't good at math either, well, then you might have a fixed growth mindset on math and just think you can't get better. You're just always going to be bad at it. Encourage the opposite of that, a growth mindset. If you work hard, you can get better at anything, right? And so we have kids that they get this fixed mindset and they think that they can't improve on it, and therefore they don't try. They really don't put forward an honest effort. So encourage a growth mindset. Anybody can improve at anything, and whether it's being a test taker. How many in here think they're not a very good test taker? A couple honest hands go up. Yes, well, guess what? You can get better at becoming a test taker. There are ways to do that. Okay? So, my name is Ryan Huber. My email, rhuber@shepherdschools.net if you have any questions. I've already worked with your 8th graders, and I've really enjoyed it. It was fun being in the classes with them. They did a great job asking questions and going into Zello and picking their classes. They really got into it. I don't know if they were trying to avoid the classwork or they were just really into it. Not sure which one, but it was good either way, and I'm looking forward to seeing them in the hallways next year. So thank you so far for raising good kids and that were attentive and well behaved.
administrator and working with parents mostly, we find that there is a perception that there is a lack of communication. And so tonight, I want to take a minute and show you some places that you can find out information. And then also, I want to know how you like to be communicated with and what works best for you. Okay? So those of you who are in athletics, okay, your child's going to be in athletics in high school. We're going to go to this website. I'm actually going to show you. There's a process that they follow for communication. So AD, he contacts the coach then reaches out to players. We post this on our athletics Facebook page, and then they update the online schedule. And I want to show you where this online schedule is and how you can subscribe to it, and you can get an instant message, okay? So real quick, this is, if you Google Big Team Shepherd High School, this comes up, okay? And let's say your child runs cross country, okay? You can choose girls varsity cross country, and then you simply hit the subscribe button, okay? That subscribe button, you put in your information, and they send you updated information as we follow the process. Remember, this is the last thing that gets changed, but you will get an alert if a practice, if a game is canceled, any of that information. So here's a really good way, if your child participates in athletics, where to gather information. Anybody have questions about that? Okay. So, next, let's just talk about communication in general. You want to make sure that your email and phone number has been updated in PowerSchool. I will show you where you can do that tonight. And I just really recommend, if you're not getting power announcements or you're not getting emails now, then something's wrong. We don't have your correct information and we need to get that corrected. So this is how we communicate, and then this is where I'm going to ask you to give me some feedback. We use Facebook, okay? Like our Facebook page. If you don't use Facebook, here's some other options. We have a website. At the high school, there is an actual announcements tab, and it's a live Google sheet. So if you see people typing in it as you look at it, that's because we're doing that and spelling it, it's happening. So that announcements tab, it's posted daily by third hour. So whatever's up there at third hour, which is around 10:40, those are the announcements. That's because we read those exact announcements to the students. So they don't really get updated after that. Power announcements or events. So, you know, when I called you or text you and all that, class of 2025, we do those types of things for events, parent-teacher conferences, meetings like tonight, testing information, any schedule changes. But other than that, we don't typically send out those power announcements. So here you go. Tell me, what do you want to know about? And then what's the best way for me to tell you? Shannon?
The school calendar, I slacked and forgot that Monday was a day off. But I saw the elementary school page post it. I searched middle school and high school Facebook pages thinking there'd be an announcement. And I'm like, middle school. I tried downloading the PDF on the school website, the school calendar. I don't know why it's a PDF instead of just not on the website. But I went to download and I checked with a friend that had the same issue. So then we just kind of messaged each other. I don't know if they all have school calendars. They're all off. So that, if the school website, the calendar on there, should just be on there and not a PDF, that would be great.
So, where is it? Down here at the bottom. Does it go back?
But it said something like
Teacher thing, yeah, it wasn't real
It
clear.
wasn't school.
Didn't say no school, it just said it was a teacher day, huh? So, but there are some events here, and I think, this is new to me. I have to tell you, if you hate our website, it is much better than it was. So, right here it said Professional Development Day, but it didn't say no school. So, yes, that definitely,
Well, above it right there.
does it?
Well, no, but if you go up, clicking on the calendar, it would be up.
Oh, there it is, okay. So, again, here's a place you can get some information. I know that the way and how we have to navigate things, but truly, our website is improving, and I have to say thank you to Mr. Davis. He's worked with us and he's done a lot to help us out, but there have been some improvements, and we're still working on it. So here's the high school page, and then you see that right there, it says announcements. And that's it. Whatever we read to the kids, we put here, like even me saying, please remember to clean up your trash. So sometimes when I read it, it's not that nice, but that's what I'm saying. What else do you want to know about? What do you feel like you don't know about? Good. How about this? Let's make a deal. If you feel like you need to know about something, or I'm not giving you information the way you need it, let me know. Okay?
How about for the, conferences? I think there was a text or something that went out last week, and it was like hours before, at least that's what I received. I received a text saying there'd be conferences, and it was literally hours beforehand. I can't make that type of adjustment to my schedule.
Was that our virtual conferences?
I think so, yeah.
So, couple days?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? No. Okay. The other thing I want to show you real quick on that page is if you're not sure what's going on, if you look under news, I've tried to put information here, so I might refer to it on Facebook, but then I try to post it here as well. So this was our remote learning schedule, this was the virtual parent conferences, important dual enrollment dates as you become a parent who has a dual enrollment student. We sat here and gave a school safety presentation after Oxford. This is here if you wanted to look at it and see what we talked about. So these are, I don't post everything on here because I feel like sometimes it's too much, but events are important messages we put here, okay? All right, let me just go back real quick to see if we're good. All right, so what we're asking you to do is make sure your contact information is updated on PowerSchool, and I'll show you that. Like our Shepherd High School and athletics page if you haven't already, and become familiar with the school's webpage. So play around with it. If you're looking for something and you can't find it, ask us, because it doesn't mean we put it on there. It means we may need to put it in a better place. So we're working on it. We're really working on developing this website. So I showed you Shepherd Schools. This other one is our counseling webpage, and you can get to it from our high school page. You simply click Counseling Office, and it takes you here to our Onward Shepherd. This, Mr. Ross and Mr. Huber have designed this. This is awesome. It has lots of information. Here, down here, it has clicks for PowerSchool, but you see this button right here, it says Update Contact Information. That is where you update your information, email, phone numbers, anything. And then Mr. Ross takes that and uploads it into PowerSchool. So you don't have to necessarily call anybody, just as it happens, just make the change here and he will update your information, okay? If PowerSchool doesn't work, call Mr. Ross. He's in charge. So real quick, last year I had this awesome student. Well, he actually worked for us. He was a previous student, but he worked for us last year, and he made these pamphlets. So these are old. However, most of the information is good still, and that's why I wanted to give them out to you. This talks about the athletics that are available, some clubs and organizations. It talks about this Onward Shepherd page right here, that what's all on it. The other thing is we had our school calendar on the back, so we'll have to make a new one for next year. And then also we list important contact information, like who to contact if something isn't working. And Mr. Ross's Power School, dual enrollment. Mr. Huber is CTE. We even listed Mrs. Schaefer for cafeteria. Our technology director, they have a help desk. All these things are available. So I just want you to know that these things are available. We just have to know where to look. So, if you have a student who's going to be an athlete, please go on and subscribe to their team. All right? And look over your student's schedule in Zello. Sometime over the weekend, if you have them pull it up and just check and see what they chose. Some students will say, I didn't even sign up for that class. Yeah, you did, because that's what you picked in Zello. We didn't pick it. So maybe they clicked the wrong thing. Just ask parents to take a look and see what they chose. What do you want to say? Yes.
On that note, when students register for classes, what we do is we try to get them into those courses, but sometimes there's a conflict. If they sign up for nutrition, and nutrition is only offered fourth period, and they're in band, and that's only offered fourth period, we can only put them in one of those. So it is possible that a student could sign up for a class and not get it. And then they come to me and they're very upset at me. And I feel really bad about it. But what I try to tell them is, we can only do so much based on the combination. So just keep that in mind. And when we go to schedule, I may take liberty and looking at what they signed up for and put them in another class that's similar to that. But they can always come in during our drop and add time and make changes. And then when they come in, I can say, all right, here are the 3 classes that are available that period. Is one of those a better fit for you? So don't panic if your classes don't match up the way you want it. We can make changes after we get them. Thank you.
Okay. And he's the expert of the scheduling. So this is not it tonight. This is not where we leave you and say, great, you're coming next year and we'll see you then. So we have a freshman welcome, and we hold it in August. I don't have the exact date because our calendar is not yet set for next year, but we will have a freshman welcome. And this is kind of what it looks like. All 9th graders get brand new Chromebooks, so they will get to come and pick up their Chromebook. They'll get some class materials. All 9th graders get a binder. And the 9th grade team, we have a 9th grade team of teachers that teach students how to use their binder, how to organize, where to put their notes, color code it. I know some of you moms are like, yeah, color coding. But we really try to at least teach them some of these skills. They also get to meet with their class advisors. I'm not sure who the upcoming class advisors will be. They will meet with the 9th grade teachers, and they're going to take a tour of the school. They're going to get to open their locker. They can decorate their locker. They can do class changes at that time. There's some time for them, and they're going to be with our student council students, so they can ask things like, where do you guys sit at lunch? What do? Do you eat in the cafeteria? Who walks to Mitchell's? Like, they want to ask other students those questions. So it's a good time for them to do that. We also do open house for parents for about an hour. And Schoology will be new to you, okay? It's a learning management system. I feel like it's super, super easy. But I've been using it for a while. So we want to make sure all parents have a login and that they know how to kind of navigate and move around in Schoology. This is only our second year using it. So yeah, there's been some bumps in the road, but our teachers love Schoology and everything's right there. You can click on it and you can see the exact assignment your student was assigned, and you will get a looks like a little piece of paper next to the grade, and it tells you they submitted it. This is really the only problem we have with this, is students hit submit and they never did anything. Which then it looks to you like they turned it in, and then the teacher pulls it up and there's nothing there. So that's the only thing we found that is actually a problem. We're gonna remind you of these communication things. So if you need to update your PowerSchool or your phone numbers and address and emails, we'll remind you about that. The athletic sign up. And then we'll just kind of do some housekeeping stuff, like making sure parents can get into PowerSchool, where to put money for lunch, maybe some information on athletics or band or those types of things. So we're not just, this isn't a one and done. We will meet with you again. So hold on and be looking for those dates, and we will be communicating. Anybody have any questions? It's a lot of information, I know, and I don't really give people time to process, I've been told. So,
We have a question.
With the whole lockers, how do you like locker orders and all that?
so at the end of this year, we will have a sign up with Penny and Stacy, and you'll come down and you'll sign up for lockers, and you can sign up with someone. It's a good question. Also, this year, we have started doing middle school and high school assemblies. So every once in a while, not every time, but once in a while, we did one for homecoming, and we're gonna do one again next Friday to kind of get used to being in the high school gym and everybody kind of working together. So we're excited about that. We're creating a tutoring program through our student leadership class. There's lots of great things happening and lots of opportunities. So if you have questions, sometimes the more opportunities, the more difficult it is to navigate all of those things. So at any time, please reach out to any of us. We know it's tough. There's lots of stuff, but as Mr. Huber said, we encourage you to talk to your student. There's the CTE open house tomorrow night. Go. Check it out. If your child thinks they're interested in it, nobody's checking your age, or if you have an 11th or 12th grader, go and check it out if your student's interested in CTE. Because they might go and decide, no, they don't want to, or they might go and be like, yes, I would love to do this. J-Rank is also having an event, and I tell you, it is the coolest event. Even if you just go because you want to know what J-Rank is, and you see their big building and you wonder what they do, it is awesome. Wear comfortable shoes because you stand on cement the whole time. But they feed you. It's a really, really great event. I encourage you to take advantage of those things before 11th and 12th grade, because you don't know. You don't know what to talk about. You don't know how to plan. So those are just some things I really, really think we as parents need to be doing. Just those conversations are so important. They're so important, and we're finding more and more that they may not be happening, and we just really want to encourage those conversations. So we really appreciate all of you tonight coming and spending time with us, and just taking a real interest in your students' education and meeting with us. So, any other questions? Well, awesome. Thank you for coming, parents. We appreciate you.